of a fright. You gave Mummy a scare. Hey, kia ora. Helen Brahms here, coming to you live from Surprise in Arizona. Hope you're having a super fantastic sparkling day. Welcome to Before the Dirt Nap podcast number 1540. Gratitude is golden. Yes. Woo! I thought I'd talk about this topic today because it's one near and dear to my heart, and it's one that sometimes I struggle with. But the last couple of days, I have been really digging deep and making sure that I live the day in gratitude. And I apologize if I was distracted off the screen, but I'm not sure what happened with Zephy. She was laying on the floor behind me, and I realized the curtains weren't closed. And so I went and I stood on either side of her. Yeah, I've got these things that float up. This is, I think it was this one. This one. Hang on. There was one with balloons. Was it this one? This one. Hang on. There was something I did like this. There was some hand signal I did like this, and balloons started floating up. I got to figure that one out again. And I can't figure out how to turn them off. I can't find my camera thingy to figure out why it's doing that. But anyway, so she's laying on the floor behind me. I go to stand on either side of her, which I do every time when she's laying there, and reach for the curtains. And she started this really weird, high-pitched squealing noise that I had never heard from her before. And I'm like, what the heck? So then she gets up and she walks away. So I wasn't standing on her. I was standing over her trying to close the curtains, and she just let out this really weird kind of squealy noise that kind of sounded like a raspy whisper. And I'm like, okay. So I am grateful that I went through that experience. This is living with gratitude. I'm grateful that I went through that experience, because now I'm just going to be a little more careful on maybe something I did triggered something with her, because I know for the first 5 months of her life she was abused as a puppy, and before she was rescued. And so I don't know what went on during that time. There's certain things that the swishing noise when you use a fly swat or a flick a towel, that swishing noise triggers PTSD with her. She will go and she will cower and quickly run away and go and try and hide. So I'm very conscious of that. Now that's another one, because the room behind is dark. So I'm wondering, I don't know, maybe she wasn't expecting it. I don't know, but I need to watch more on that one. But that was just like weird. So I wasn't standing on any part of her, because she was able to get up and walk away. But then I called her back, and she came back and got lots of loving. So I'm thankful that she's okay. So living in gratitude. This is one that I try and do on a daily basis. When you live in gratitude, it comes from a place of love. And the more gratitude you put out, the more you receive, which I kind of like that concept. So I'm always thankful for everybody. And I even mentioned to a group of people that, I love it when somebody holds a door open for me. I'm an old-fashioned girl. I love it when guys come along, they hold doors open for you. They help you down steps. I love that. And yes, I'm an independent woman and have been through a lot. But when Brad would hold open the car door for me, hold the door open, allow me to go first, every time he did that, I thanked him for it. I told him, I said, thank you. I truly appreciate it. And he'd hold the chair out for me, things like that. I just felt so much love from those acts that he did. And even when a stranger holds the door open for me, like usually when I go to the mailbox, I come out of there with packages, and somebody will always go and open up the door for me. And I always stop and thank them for that. And I had one guy one time who turned around to me and he says, you're really grateful that I did that for you? I said, absolutely. I said, I'm an old-fashioned girl. I said, yes, I am independent. Yes, I can open a door for myself. But when somebody does it for me, I am in complete gratitude for it, because it's something that I love, it's an act of service that I love to receive. And he just sort of looked at me really weird. He's like, okay. I said, but I truly do appreciate you acting like a gentleman and opening the door for me. I appreciate that. And so he was kind of blown away by that for a little bit. But when you live in gratitude, and it's being thankful for the little things. I'm grateful for the walk that we went on this evening, because we got out in the fresh air. It wasn't hot and stuffy, but we got out in the fresh air. Yes, it was dark, and because there's no moon out right now, it was a little creepy, especially in the park with the trees. And yes, they do have the paths lit, but they're only on poles that come up to probably just past my waist. and they have lights that just pull out. But there's also, I always take a flashlight with me, which I am thankful for, because there are these certain frogs that the frog that we've normally seen is like about this big, and he just sits there in the middle of the path and doesn't move. And I was describing it to one of the neighbors one day when we met up in the park, and she says, "Oh yeah, they're poisonous to dogs. Keep the dogs away from them." Well, tonight we had a little itty bitty one that was about this big, and Zeffie decided to go after it, and I was like, "Yeah, no." Just yanked her back, and she went after it again. I went, "No." So I was thankful for that neighbor that had told me to watch out for these frogs. They're poisonous for dogs. So there's all sorts of things that you need to be aware of and stuff like that. So I'm grateful that I knew what to look for. I'm grateful that people had informed me about this. I was grateful to be outside in the fresh air and taking a nice brisk walk with Zeffie, and that my feet and my legs work perfectly when we go for a walk. So I'm very grateful that I'm able to walk. So it's that taking just those little things. And somebody told me this evening that the cells, our body cells eavesdrop on our thoughts. And I'm like, that's true. There have been times when I'm sort of like, when I wake up in the morning and I always try to be super fantastic and sparkling, no matter what happens today is always super fantastic and sparkling. And I have lived that every single day since Brad passed. And he's been gone just over 6 years. And I've lived that every single day since he passed. Yes, there are some mornings that I don't feel as sparkly as other mornings, and that's okay. I'm okay. I'm grateful that I can have days like that where I just need to be extra careful with myself, take extra care, and but keep moving forward. As long as I keep moving forward, everything's okay. And one of the hardest things I've had to learn over the years, and I learned this most of the time during Brad's cancer thing of almost 10 years, 9 years, 8 months, and 3 days. The thing that I learned the most during that time was how to receive compliments and gratitude. I'm always giving, and I'm always telling people thank you if they do something for me. But for them to turn and say thank you to me, I would kind of like push it back. Like I didn't, it's just something I do. I didn't feel like I needed to be thanked for it. And I was telling this story tonight of, because in New Zealand, we don't tip. We do not do gratuities. We do not do tips. And the very first time when I first started working in a hotel here in the States, back in 2000, I was working on the front desk. I was a front desk supervisor at the time, and somebody handed me a tip, and I refused to take. I did not want to take it, not understanding the tipping culture. And I'd been in the States by that stage like 3 years, but I still did not. Even to this day, 23 years later, I still don't understand the concept of tipping. I do it, but I just don't get it. And sorry, I still don't understand why. Yes, I understand that but why do we have to show, it's a whole thing that I'm not going to go into right now, because that'll just send me down a rabbit hole. But one of my boss actually pulled me aside and said, "You are to accept that tip. That's a culture here in the States, and you are to accept it." And I was like, okay. I was very uncomfortable about accepting that tip. And any tips I've received since, I've been very uncomfortable about. Thankfully, people don't tip me very often. Because I still have a hang up about being tipped for something that they're already paying me to do. Yes, I understand they want to express their gratitude in a different way, but the love language of gifts, which is what I receive, which is what to me tipping is not my strongest love language. My love language is words of affirmation and hug, physical touch. Those are two. They're both first equal. Next equal is acts of service and quality time. Gifts is like when I did the evaluation up here at the top two were those two, then the other two were directly underneath it at equal. So I had four. So I had two pairs of equal, and there was like a point difference between them. So the top two were dead even, the next two were dead even, and there was a point difference between them. And there was like 5 points from there down to gifts. And so that's my love languages. So that's, I think, why I push back so much when people want to gift me things. But I do accept them with grace and gratitude. I have learned to do that. I do push back sometimes but I do like surprises. So when I get a surprise in the mail and things like that, I'm sort of like, oh, thank you. And I am grateful for them. So I have had to learn to accept compliments with grace. What else have I done? Just looking at my notes. But it's just about allowing yourself to receive. So I am now getting into the practice again of practicing gratitude. As I do things throughout the day, I am finding things to be thankful for. Thankful that I love to write because I do a lot of writing during the days. I am thankful when I do my journal entries. I haven't done a lot lately, but I'm thankful for them anyway when I get to do them. I'm always thankful for Zephy. I know that I'm not sure who rescued who, but I just think we rescued each other when we came together in November of 2019. So we're coming up on our 4-year anniversary of her gotcha date. 16th of November will be her gotcha date. And so it'll be 4 years. I can't believe I've had her for 4 years already. She's now decided to eat her treat. So I'm grateful for that dog because that dog has gotten me through so many hurdles and things. And because of her, I had to get out of the RV at minimum twice a day, sometimes 3 or 4 times a day. And because she has to be walked. And up until then, when I didn't have the dog, I basically became a hermit inside my RV. Yes, I would go out and do things, but I'd always make sure it was at an off time, not an on peak time for anything, because I just didn't want to be around the crowds. Mind you, no, that was in 2019. So it was before the whole global pause thing happened. And so I would try to time my visits to places when it would be their least active time. Like if I had to do grocery shopping, I did it late in the evening or first thing in the morning, or or in the middle of the day, of the middle of the morning or the middle of the afternoon when it was the quietest within the supermarket, because I discovered that the mums would go in, and sometimes the dads would go in either just after they dropped the kids off at school or when they finished work, or to pick the kids up from school. So those were sort of like the busy times. So I avoided those times. But with Zephy, I had to get out. I had to go for a walk. I needed it for my health, needed to start walking for my health, and I was reluctant to do that. But with her, I had to get out. I had to go walking. And so we enjoy some great walks and things. And so I'm grateful for her for that. But that's basically it. Living gratitude. What are some things what is one thing that you are grateful for today? I get a lot of mail for people who used to live in this house. So I'm grateful for that little rubber stampy thing that you just scroll across and it blocks out their address, their name and address. So you can put return to sender on it. No such person. Because I found that if I just crossed it out with like a pen, just like ran over it, then it would still come back to me. And so I already had this envelope thingy that you just roll across and it blacks out your address. And so I put that on there and just put RTS, return to sender, no such person. And on our way out on the walk this evening, I thought, I'm grateful for that stamp, because it made it a lot easier than sitting there with like a Sharpie and trying to cross out everything. I just rolled this thing across, rolled them across, and then just sat there at RST, no such person, and went and mailed them all on the way because we went past the mailbox. So we got them mailed. So I was thankful for that stamp today. But there are a lot of things. I'm thankful for my mastermind group. They are such awesome people, such a great family community and things like that as well. And on our meeting tonight, we got to remember a fellow member of our mastermind group who recently passed. And I sat there and I was thinking, and since we're talking about gratitude, I thought, I am grateful that I had this person in my life, even if it was for a short term. It was, just a few years that I had her in my life. But she always brought a ray of sunshine into my life whenever we sat and talked. She has been a guest on the show as well. And I have emceed her conference for a couple of years. And she was just such an incredible person who has left a great legacy. And that's what she was all about. Every time you spoke with her, she was always talking about the importance of leaving a legacy. And I am grateful for those conversations that her and I had, and grateful for the amount of time that she was in my life. There are people that will come into your life for a day, for a moment, for eons, or somewhere in between. Be grateful for the people that you have in your life. They come into your life for a reason. Everything happens for a reason. So embrace it and be grateful for it, and make sure it comes from a place of love, and accept everything with grace and love when somebody gives you a compliment and somebody expresses gratitude to you. I am learning to do that, and still learning to this day. It was a hard lesson for me to learn, but I am learning. I am still working on it, but I'm getting better and better with it though. So with love and gratitude for tuning in and watching our show every day, 1,540 days. It's been a long haul. That's over 4 years, and we're still going strong. And so I just want to say from Zephy and I to you guys, thank you so much for joining in with us and just watching these shows that we do. Sometimes I ramble, and I'm starting to do it now. Sometimes I come up with good stuff, and sometimes I'm just not even sure what I'm talking about by the time I get off the air. It's like, what the heck did I talk about tonight? So I thank you for being with us through the rough patches, through the good patches, for the fun that we have had on the show. And I thank you for your continued support. And I truly, truly appreciate you stopping by, tuning in, and having, whether it's stopping in live or catching up with it on the replay and things like that. I am truly grateful that that you take time out of your day to watch the show. So thank you, and we will catch you guys back here tomorrow evening at 6 p.m. Pacific. Hey, konera. Oh, and have a super fantastic sparkling evening.